Willie Show. This is election cycle 2020 2.0 with, of course, Willie Brown, the Honorable Willie Brown, and Will Durst, and our special guest moderator, Susie Tompkins-Buell. So take it away, Susie.
Well, first off, I want to just say I think this place is so cool. It reminds me of San Francisco back in the 60s. You know what I mean? It's just sort of funky and real. Anyway, it's great to be here. I don't know what we're going to come to, but I know it'll be great.
You know, it reminds you, right? So you say it reminds you of the 60s. That's pre-Disability Act, isn't it?
Pre-disability, yes it is, right? Yes.
All I can think of when I walked down the stairs was that the number of people that, when I was serving as mayor, I was constantly having to defend somebody who was not making it comfortable for people to enter their facility. And when our producers selected this joint, I had some questions and some reservations about it. And I still have questions and reservations about it. All I can think about is, hope like hell there's no fire.
Well, Susie said the 60s, and I thought the 1860s. Because this really looks like an old theater from like the 30s or something.
Or Speakeasy, that was
Yeah.
before our time. But anyway, kind of back in the day when you'd go down to North Beach and you'd go, Jeanette, you remember this, I don't know where you are, but you go into these like little funky, wonderful coffee houses and whatever happened would happen. So let's see what happens tonight.
Yeah, it's almost like, when I was in Mineola, this was about the size of the #1 theater. And that was for the white people.
I can't drink out of a glass.
But Susie, we're glad to have you. You have no idea how relieved we are that you're here. Otherwise, we'd be stuck with Paul again.
Well,
And for years, the Will and Willie Show have had Paul, who always wanted to be in the Will and Willie Show. And we had a lot of trouble trying to keep him out of the show. And we knew we wouldn't have that trouble with you at all.
Well,
because you would ask the right questions, you said all the things it said. And I even saw you hug Will Durst. So I'm not sure about your taste, but that's different.
Hey, I'm a fellow columnist now. You can't take me out. I'm with the Chronicle as well. Only you have once a week. I'm once every 2 weeks. So you still have seniority.
Well, we're about to have a problem, though, a real problem, because the governor signed AB 5, and that says freelancers are no longer permitted. You have to be an employee
Oh, cool.
of the paper. Well, I don't qualify, I don't think. Just think, you got to go through an interview. Can you imagine going through an interview at the Chronicle to try to get a gig?
Well, there's got to be exceptions. I mean,
Well, no, the law
comedians?
is very
What
clear.
about comedians?
They went after, no, that's the problem. The media is the one that really has the problem. I think what they were after Uber and Lyft originally. And then they discovered that there were a lot of people in the same category, because it's very difficult to do what you do with only one group or one individual. And as a result of that, the newspapers all over the state of California are in trouble, because newspapers were not making a whole lot of money anyway. Newspapers were relying upon journalists who wanted to send them something, and if they used it, they paid for it. If they didn't use it, they don't pay for it. All that's gone. You cannot be in the paper unless you are an employee, unless you do it for fewer than, I think, maybe 25 or 30 times a year. That. So you may fit.
Yeah, I think I do.
I don't, though.
No, you're 52 times a year.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I thought I would have been gone a long time ago.
So are you going to get health care and benefits and stuff?
Yeah, minimum wage. The Chronicle has to pay minimum wage now. And that's not a bad thing, you know.
Well, how long
And
does
that's
it take you
probably
to
to
write?
the chief executive of the Chronicle, so it's not bad.
What's it take to write an article? How long? 3 hours? 4 hours?
No. It takes me a lot longer than that. For an example, I'm already way ahead on this week's article because I'm leaving town, and
So you have to hand it in when? For
well,
Sunday?
I don't hand it in. I call it in.
You call it in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that what you do? Don't you call it
No, no.
in? You go down there?
No, I kind of type it and then send it to him.
See, you kind of talented. I'm not that talented. So I got to tell you that, for an example, I'm going to talk about 2 movies. Today, I decided to say something about a couple of movies I've seen. I haven't done movies for a while. So I decided I'd do a couple of movies. Yeah, talk about a couple of movies. And I've seen more than 2 that I haven't spoken about. But as I continuously watched through my mind Rambo.
Oh, you saw the
Last
6th
Blood,
Rambo?
yeah. Yeah, we ought to get Rambo to run against Trump. Wouldn't be a bad thing, you know.
No, mano a mano.
No, and there is a great one. Susie, you'll love this one. They've got a movie out that I suspect almost nobody has seen. It's the best movie presenting a woman's point of view in a situation where principle is the basis of which you conduct yourself. And this is a movie called Official Secrets. It's a British-based movie,
Yeah.
and you only see it at that Embarcadero Landmark or whatever those
Right.
nun theaters are called. And it really is the best. And I hope that the critics and the people who have a vote in the Academy
I haven't
actually
even heard
see
of
it.
it. Have
It is
not even
I
heard
know
of
no one, but it is a really very good movie. And in this day of protest, when people are doing all the things that they're doing to speak to power in the way in which they want to speak to power, this particular movie does it better because suddenly, unlike some of our local progressives whose principles move around, these principles kind of stay in place. It's pretty cool. And believe me, that movie is really good. But I'm telling you, you got to see it and see Rambo first, though.
How about Downton Abbey? Have you seen that?
Who?
Downton Abbey?
No, let me tell you, I can't stay any place for 2 hours and 20 minutes. That movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Moves like that.
It does?
Yeah.
Like,
Only at a
obviously,
Victorian pace. Yeah.
you can't tell time? What is it?
Have you seen Ad Astra?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you like it?
Not bad.
Okay.
Not bad.
Because I want to see it. Susie, you seen anything?
You know what? I'm not a big movie goer. I would like to be, but I'm not.
It's a time thing.
It's like a time thing, and yeah, because we live out in Bolinas, and we
Oh,
don't-
well, you get a multiplex right there next
Right.
to the Coastal
Well,
Cafe, don't you?
we could do that. Anyway, can we talk about climate?
Sure.
I thought we were.
What do you got?
No, I'm just pretty obsessed with it right now, and I just want to know what you guys are thinking about it, and if people are paying enough attention to it. And where
Right
we're
now,
going
there's this
here-
other thing that's kind of got everybody's attention with the guy at the top. And
Yeah, but they're very connected.
They are. They are.
So I just think it's an important thing to always bring up. I mean, I know you offered me water out of plastic,
Right.
which I really appreciate, but we've got to get into this frame of mind where we understand what's happening here and speak out, everybody, about it.
Well, I
because-
can't understand why these are still legal in California.
I know.
You
And
know,
everybody's
single
got
bottles,
to,
single
everybody's
bottles.
got to recognize it and put their foot down and really make each other
But we did get
understand.
rid of these things. You know,
I
the
know,
little
there's been a lot of
stoppers.
improvements. There's been a lot of improvements, but, and there's just so much distraction right now. But I think, for me, number one is what we're going to do here about this climate. And if we don't get through this election in the right way, and we don't get a president that's going to be able to point people to really take care of it, there's not much to look forward to.
Well, but the kind of guys, people that he has already appointed in those positions, that demonstrates an absolute indifference and a total and completely absence of knowledge about the climate. And believe me, the protests that occurred, or the demonstrations, I guess I should call them, as Lee Hoskins would call them, demonstrations that occurred last week or within the last 10 days, led primarily by very young people.
Loved it.
That 16-year-old,
Loved
14 or whatever she was,
Greta.
that had
16.
on that pink dress, and she was speaking.
And then
her
Trump mocked
presentation-
her.
Yeah, I
Trump
know.
mocked her. I mean, really, dude?
So
A
that,
16-year-old, really?
so that should rile us up even more.
He's an oaf. I am so tired. And his first director of the EPA was an oil lobbyist. His second director of the EPA is a coal lobbyist.
Yeah.
You can't make this stuff up.
No, but we should have we expect things like this because he's such a vindictive small man. He's going to do, the thing that got me the most that he did, which probably isn't that big a deal physically, but just to stick his fingers in our eye, was when they put plastic straws. I don't know if you know about this, but they have plastic straws on their campaign site now that says Trump, red plastic straws, because they know that we're on a campaign, to try to cut down on the single-use plastic. And so what do? They bring this out, and they sold $500,000 worth of plastic straws in the first couple of weeks. That's pretty frightening. And that was just the most vindictive thing I could ever imagine anyone doing. Straws.
I would doubt, though, that any of them were sold in San Francisco.
No, I know. But,
Not one. I can imagine, though, somebody ought to call Bezo up and say, hey, have your people not deliver any of those plastics.
But it wasn't even the straws. It was just something to get our goat, something to just freak us out even more. They're just trying to, bring us down in every way they can. And
Well,
Yeah,
he's
they
full
fight-
of distractions, though. He's really
Yeah.
talented at distracting.
plastic straws. I mean,
Literally, on any subject, he knows exactly how to move that subject away from the seriousness of it to something less than the seriousness of it, and in many cases, to some place where he's comfortable,
Yeah.
period. And that's how he has managed to stay on top of everything, and that's how he's managed to abolish the Republican Party.
okay, so now here's what I think, because you guys both have, like, your sense of humor is your
Fight back, yeah.
your career. And you've always had it, Willie. You've always been like a great spirit of joy and fun. And so I'd like to just talk about the kind of psyche of what's going on now and how we can help keep each other buoyed and hopeful and positive so that we can just keep up the fight as long as we can. And I think both of you do it with your humor. And I try to do it with what we do in our weekly Rising.
Yeah, what is the Rising?
The Rising is a weekly bulletin that my office puts out. We have a great team, and Belinda's here tonight. She heads it up, my associate, and she has, we started it because we put on an event 6 months after the election in 2016, and we realized that we were doing it, the event was kind of therapy for ourselves, because people would call us every day at the office, what are we going to do, what can we do, what are we going to do, where are we going? So we thought, well, let's just do an event, let's figure it out. So it took a couple of months to figure it out. We had comedians, we had music, we had Gina McCarthy, we had Elizabeth Warren, we had Joyanne Reed. I mean, Gavin came, we just had great, Anna DeVere Smith closed it down. So we really put together a quality gathering for people to come together and just hear activists talk and just hear and feel and sense all the possibilities and good things that people were doing. And we got so encouraged from that we started writing The Rising every week. And we start off acknowledging the horrible things that are happening, but try to find the good things that we can do and to trust ourselves and to really get out and see a sunset and take a walk and indulge in nature and love as hard as you can and be with people you care about and learn as much as you can and just trust and believe, because this is a time that you just could easily fall off the edge, just understanding what's happening, not just to our country, but to our world. So I think this kind of psyche part of what we're doing is really important, and being able to be joyful and fun and make people laugh. And when you come up with a great idea, it might be impossible, but you present it in a way that's just awesome and makes people sit up and think that the impossible could really happen. Because I remember saying to Mark one night, we were at a Pete Buttigieg event, and he's one of the candidates that we support. And I said, what do you think, Mark? Are we just, should we be supporting him? Because he seemed so kind of maybe impossible. And Mark just said to me, Mark is my husband, if anyone doesn't know. He said to me, I just need a dream right now. I just thought that was so great, and it really sticks with me. And I think we have to dream, and we have to bring that out in each other. And we have to believe in, because everything wonderful starts with a dream. Everything, it doesn't come on a PowerPoint. It comes with a dream, and dreams come from trust and hope and loving people and loving nature and just being out there and really being engaged in life and doing things that inspire other people to think and be well.
Well, if I can make an observation, I did a week in Tahoe last week. And Tahoe is kind of, to San Francisco what Vegas is to LA. But totally different crowds in Tahoe. And I did material, anti-Trump material, and it went over so much better than it did the last time I was up there. The whole thing is kind of moving, and it's not huge, but it's just increments. And I was getting different people. I was getting young guys who were there for like frat parties, and they were laughing at the Trump stuff. And obviously, I'm better at the Trump jokes because I've had so much experience. But I could feel something happening with the crowd, that they're much more willing to accept the fact that this guy is an idiot. And I think that's step one.
Yeah, but a very dangerous idiot.
Yes.
Well, we have a real problem with Trump. You described him correctly, and you described him when you say this. Yeah, I'm not sure that if we defeat him, that he'll actually leave.
Oh, I don't think he will leave. No. I agree.
Here's a guy that doesn't ever take the results.
He's never going to leave.
The democracy produces, and I think that when Mitch McConnell today announced that if and when the House impeaches him, they certainly will try him. Well, obviously, you need 2/3 in order to get rid of him. You can't do it just with a majority vote. To convict him and remove
Senate,
him from office. It takes
2/3, right?
Yeah,
2/3?
to remove anybody from office.
So 60?
67.
Oh,
Thank you.
right.
There's somebody out there.
Not 3/5. Yeah.
How close are we? Yeah, and so I'm really concerned. At some point in the journalistic world, we've got to start actually talking about adherence to the whole democratic process and the rules and regulations that establish this incredible country and the way in which this incredible country really is. I'm amused, however, and because a couple of days ago, you got these telephones where people send all kinds of photos, and somebody were present at the wall, the new wall that Trump has just unveiled. And what was on top of the wall? a group of people that have climbed over
Yeah.
and was taking selfies. You see that?
Not working too well.
Did you see it? It was amazing. I was blown away. I thought, you got to build it higher.
No.
But I got to tell you, though, your comments are a good one. They're common and they kind of set the tone. But you know, the confrontation that's going on in Hong Kong is literally dramatically different, and I suspect that the Trump version of what they're protesting is not nearly as Trumpish as to what we protest in this country. But they are being far more diligent and aggressive. You know, Trump was out here, 2 weeks ago or something? And I couldn't find him to protest. It was amazing. We didn't have much of anybody saying anything, and I'm guessing that if he had been in Hong Kong, there would have been a million people would have been out there raising hell. More people, you know, show up for this show than showed up to protest Trump. Which in and of
So what happens if he doesn't leave? Do we send the Justice Department in to?
Well, Maxine Waters said today on television when they asked her, what do you really want to see? She says, I want to see him escorted to a single cell.
Solitary
In
confinement.
chain, yeah. and with no determination date for the conclusion of his sentence, which is not bad.
There was a great Doonesbury, a Sunday Doonesbury a couple weeks ago, and it was the deteriorating Trump in different panels, and him, you know, this is all, so it was the trial, and then he's removed, and then he's in jail, and when he's in jail, he says, and his hair goes back, you know, he doesn't have the same, so he has deteriorating hair and everyone, and now he's paunchy and bald, and he says, I was misinformed as to the fine gentlemen that are in MS-13. Some of these, and it was great because he was misinformed. He wasn't wrong. So Gary Trudeau had it perfectly. Yeah.
Well, you know, his how many of his people are already in jail? He's got a lot of people already prosecuted.
Manafort and
so you-
Rick Gates. And,
Yeah.
No, Flynn's not in yet.
And he allowed that to
Cohen.
occur. So
Cohen,
yeah,
Manafort.
there are 2 or 3 others too. Yeah, but Cohen is the number one guy that
his lawyer.
put away. But I can't, you know, I have offered to come out of retirement on the trial lawyer side and represent Giuliani. Wouldn't you just love to?
Can you imagine that?
I mean, you're talking about a guy that has totally lost it. He's really.
And he keeps trying to help. You know, him helping, that's like throwing a trapeze act, an anvil.
It's the Will and Willie Show on KSCO and Facebook Live with Susie Tompkins Buell.
That was really well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. That was really, it
Are
came
you
from
in-
out of nowhere, so.
Are you in the same theater
I think I am.
or the same planet? I mean, interrupting us? What is this? But the whole business of what Nancy Pelosi is orchestrating, the time that they're spending with those 6 different committees dealing with
Yeah.
the Trump antics, your reference to the kind of things that people should be hoping for and should be attentive to, etc., goes by the board because we are so busy trying to deal with
I know.
the mismatch that comes. You know, when they talk about health care, it's too bad that in the debate that subject matter for solution purposes, has really never been effectively dealt with. It's amazing. You know, there's some conditions involving eyesight. I know about that a whole lot. There are some conditions involving eyesight in this country that your healthcare apparatus, whatever it is, whether it's federal, state, or local, it doesn't cover it. It's $10,000 a shot into your eyes to clean it up and try to clear it up. Yeah, well, mine won't be cleaned up. No, I'll clear it up soon. Well, I ain't gonna waste my goddamn money doing that.
No, eyesight, who needs that?
But nevertheless, there's no dialogue about, serious dialogue, about any of these respective issues. You mentioned climate control. There really isn't dialogue. I got called a couple of days ago because there is pending in the state, in the hands of the governor now. Should fur be sold in California? You know, if you're going to talk about plastic straws, fake fur is made from the same stuff as plastic straws. And so it is a mistake to be discussing only fur if you're addressing the issue of the environment, etc. You've got to do the whole bit, period. And, you know, give me time to sell my fur coat.
So is that fake fur is really, I never put that together, but of course it
It is. Fake fur is literally,
Petroleum.
you go online and it is almost microscopic plastic.
Wow.
And that microscopic plastic ends up, because, you know, one time nobody stole fake furs. The thieves knew the difference between fake furs. And now at some of these stores, I think they sell only fake furs. But nevertheless, fake furs, base of that foundation is literally plastic. Now, in my world, by the way, I'm urging my friends who are in the business, I said, you know, if they outlaw fake fur, I think you might be able to take hemp and make fur out of hemp.
It will
Can you
not be
imagine?
so soft.
Yes.
What is that thing on his head? Is it a wig? Is it a weave? Implants?
Oh, I
Extensions?
think it's hemp.
A merkin? A tribble? Carpet sample? Piece of pelt from the belly to albino marsupial? Wait. Doesn't he realize any dude over the age of 60 with long hair looks ridiculous? It's what you've been thinking.
Yes,
I'll cut it when he's gone.
yes.
I'll
yes.
shave my head. I'll do a Willie when he's gone.
You know, somehow we do have to continuously, if we're going to get to the point where we can deal with the problems of humankind in this nation and throughout the world, we've got to participate in a leadership team at the various levels that really reflect an effort towards good judgment without having to be forced into it, so to speak. There's got to be people who really start with the idea that their goal in life is to resolve the problem and resolve the issues and let nature take its course from there. That's not where we are in this
No.
nation at the moment, no. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, did an incredible job when she managed to take the House back from those who were Trumpites, literally Trumpites. And she took it back handsomely and cleanly, and she did it by being very, very open to full participation. And we really do have to allow, in my opinion, for full participation. We cannot block anybody out who is trying, appropriately measured, trying their best to do something good and decent. And she did that with her folk, because some of those people were nominated, they were far more conservative than anybody in San Francisco. And they were in districts where Trump had won by 20 or 30 points. But they won. They beat incumbent Trumpites by addressing the needs of the people in those particular neighborhoods in those districts. That's the way it really should be for the whole nation.
Could happen in 2020 if the Democrats don't take each other out.
Well, but they in this stupid debate business. I don't understand. We had a good system.
Yeah.
You were a delegate, I was a delegate. I mean, we had a great system. We would get ourselves elected by our fellow folk in our district and go to the convention, and we would participate in trying to select and elect the most talented person. I remember when I first on the national scene back in 1972, John Burton, Dolores Herter, and Willie Brown were the co-chairs of the California delegation
72.
to the National Convention
In Miami.
in Miami, Florida. And they had selected a place for the California delegation to stay, that not a soul attending the convention at that delegation could afford to eat at that place. It was so expensive, but nevertheless, we were the delegation that did the number. We had women, we had gay and lesbians, we had people of color, we had literally some of everything, and we had a lot of great movie stars. Shirley MacLaine was there. Her brother, Warren
Beatty,
was part of that. Yeah, we really had a collection of people that made for a great delegation, and we nominated George McGovern. And what did that get us? But nevertheless, it was the democratic process that produced that. These debates are exposing the inadequacies in a lot of our friends and relatives long before you want that exposure to take place. You really do want...
And they're blueprints for the opposition.
Totally and completely. And only Trump is benefiting from the debates. He's the only person benefiting from the debates. Not one of our 25 or 26 or whatever the number is today is showing enough nerve and verve to be able to take Trump out. And I want to take Trump out. So,
Bar anything. I don't care who. I am convinced. Democrats, we would, anybody. We don't care who you pick.
Well, read my column on Sunday. I will have in my column on Sunday who the nominee should be.
I disagree.
And not me.
We can dream, right?
Yes.
Right?
We can dream. That's the dream. That's the dream. And I hope many of you will dream with me on Sunday, because I really do intend to try to make the case as to why candidate, I've been philosophizing about Nancy Pelosi. I've been putting in the column every now and then that Nancy ought to be the candidate, and Nancy has not yet emerged as accepting my nomination. But there is clear need for a potential winnable candidate, and so I will be talking Sunday in my column. What I've done when I told you about the two movies, I followed that almost immediately with I think a pretty commanding case.
Bold.
It's going to require all 25, however, to get out of the way. So there's no need for the...
Yeah, let me guess what that's going to happen, yeah.
Well, no, that may happen, because
No.
I actually am going to make a couple of calls to one or two of them and say, listen, your dignity has been besmirched. you might want to, you might want to be the first to praise me for having the vision. And you don't have to say, let's have a vision. And you might say that if he's right and that vision is there, I'd sign on to that vision. And if that happens, we may end up starting something right here in San Francisco that could transform the world.
You'd be the most important person around.
You think so? Huh?
I do.
Well, then you know I'm writing that column.
You can imagine, right?
Yes, yes. But we do really need a candidate in these debates. I got to assume, by the way, I don't know this to be true, but I got to assume that with the amount of ads that are shown on these debates and the content of the debate, the subject matter causing people to watch them, or the 25 or 24 or 10 or whatever the numbers are, Democratic candidate. I got to assume we must be getting a part of that revenue. Shouldn't we be getting a part of that revenue? Shouldn't the Democratic Party be receiving some of that revenue?
You're right.
I think they should be receive some of that revenue. And not only that, we are following the leadership of the Republicans. The Republicans had that crazy debate system that produced Trump. Before that, they had never done that before. And the news world was so carried away with Trump talking about the guy with little hands and talking about Lying Ted and all the other people that he vilified, Sleepy Bush. And,
low energy jab.
Yeah, he really, he was, and they loved it because he was a reality guy, reality TV guy.
I blame TV.
Doing things.
Because they loved him. He gave them ratings.
But it was those debates that created the attention for Trump. He never could have gotten the nomination in a place where there were delegates. He never would have gotten the nomination.
But he also manipulated, it came out later that he manipulated polls so that it would look like that he was the favorite, even though it was just a made-up poll that his own people put together. And so that gave him a little bit of movement in terms of, he's a winner. So, but it was the media who, they got Hillary on the servers and the Benghazi, and you had Trump on the universities, on the cheating, and everything that he said was hypocritical for what he did, and there was like 18 things on this side, and there was 3 things on this side, and they made them equal. They just made them equal, and it wasn't.
Well, unfortunately,
you know what I mean?
Unfortunately, in our system, when I wander around town these days, it's amazing how few people there are that understand impeach.
Yeah.
They got no idea what you're talking about. No idea whatsoever. Does that mean he goes to jail? Hopefully. But no, it doesn't mean if you impeach him, then why you got to do that? If I take something out of the corner store down there, they impeach me, all right. I get locked up, and if I can prove that I was crazy, I'll let out. But
my favorite thing in the last couple of weeks was when I think it was MSNBC, kept account of all the Democratic House members, and it's up to 224, and they need 227 who were in favor of impeachment. And they kept account, because TV is 24 hours, and sometimes stuff doesn't happen for like 4 hours in a row. Not often anymore, but because that whole breaking news thing, it broke. It's permanently illuminated now. It's always breaking news.
Yeah.
Except that the attention span for trying to educate the American public about the word impeach is sadly lacking. You don't get a chance, really, to walk folk through. You lose them if you don't make it so simple.
Yeah, but this was true with Clinton, too. People didn't get it back then.
Well,
and they lived with it. They learned to live with it.
I was down at the Starbucks just a minute ago, getting a couple calls, and the lady said, can I talk to you for a minute? She's in there, and I'm waiting for my coffee, and I said, yes. She said, well, you know, Clinton should not have been impeached. I'm really surprised. She said, this guy should be impeached. I said, what's the difference? He says, just look at what he's doing to the country. And Clinton only had one person.
And it was consensual.
Which I thought, oh no, you ought to be on TV, lady. You really can deliver the message appropriately. Very nice lady too, very nice lady. And I'm gonna quote her in the column on Sunday, with her permission, of course.
In D.C., during the trial, the impeachment trial, I was in the gallery, and Henry Hyde was trying to sell his case to the Senate. And, they want you to be quiet. They don't want you to respond in the gallery. And Henry Hyde said, if we don't impeach President Clinton, there will be rioting in the streets. And I went, from the gallery. And William Rehnquist, he gave me a look. He went, I got yelled at by the principal of the United States of America. The Supreme
And
Court.
he was presiding. That's one thing about.
Yeah.
And if
And
there
he
is
had,
a trial,
and he had those things on his
The
robes.
braids.
Yeah,
if
because he
there is
saw a movie.
if there is a trial, no, it's what he wears at night when he gets home. Not what he's- But if there is a trial, the Chief Justice presides at the trial. He is the one that does that piece of it, and in this case, it would be John Roberts saying it. It wasn't John Roberts the guy that couldn't follow the oath
Yes.
when
Yeah.
took over. He got that mixed up for Obama. He got it mixed up for Obama. He was literally reading.
And they had to do it again.
Yeah, they had to
he
do
wasn't.
it again
He
because
wasn't properly inaugurated.
No, he misread. So you got to be careful with him presiding. Who knows what the circumstances will be? But I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually looking forward to Trump being tried, and
And
for,
then what? You think, what happens after that?
Well, I'm going to only guess, that if he's in the midst of a trial while we're out there voting, it'll be very, very difficult not to unseat him. I think we will unseat him, particularly
Unless he
if
starts
my
a war.
candidate, no, if my
Well, that's it,
candidate,
yeah.
my candidate wins it.
But we got to wait till Sunday.
Yeah, oh, sure.
Yeah.
Until Sunday. Yeah. But
I'm afraid he's going to start a war. I
too.
really am.
Or something.
Yeah.
Wait
Just-
a minute. What, you're afraid he's going to start? You know he's going to start a war. You know he's going to start a war. He's going to do whatever it takes.
Anything.
And that's right.
Lie, cheat,
Absolutely.
steal, start a war.
That's exactly what he is going to do. There's no question. And believe me, everybody else in the world's got to worry. Because he doesn't always start, he won't necessarily start the war with somebody that we got a beef with.
Invade Canada. Yeah.
It may be a war that he thinks he can win. And if I know him, he's that kind of a bully. He's not going to be punching around with anybody that can punch back. He's going to be punching with somebody that's got no army. It's got nothings.
Yemen. Those damn Yemenis.
Don't you remember? Don't you remember when Reagan tried to do that in South America?
Grenada, yeah.
Yeah, Grenada. He started a little war down there, and this guy's going to do the same thing. He's going to start a war for sure if the heat keeps getting to him. But he's already.
But what do you mean get to him? He admitted that he asked the Ukrainian and the poor Ukrainian president. He's only been in office like 100 days.
Be careful. Be careful.
He's a comedian.
He's a comedian.
Yeah,
That's right.
I know.
But maybe John Bolton is going to save us.
Yeah, let's hope. But the Democrats place too much on Robert Mueller. They never should have
That's right.
had so much at the table.
The
It's
difference
like
is
they went all in, and
the difference
he went
is
silent.
he went silent.
He went
So
silent.
when Trump kept attacking him, he never dropped a leak. He didn't say anything. The Democrats are not going to do that. All the committees and Nancy Pelosi, they're not going to have the omerta, the silent treatment. They'll be able to fight back.
Well, unfortunately for us, though, many of those Democrats who were there are unaware of how limited they are at cross-examining people. I mean, it's almost embarrassing, some of them, when they attempt to, there are few.
Did you see what Lewandowski did to him?
Who?
Corey Lewandowski? He laughed.
Oh,
and
he wiped them
stared.
out.
Yeah.
He wiped them out. But just think, when you get to the Senate, if you had Robert F. Kennedy in the years in which the questions were being asked of the Teamsters and of Jimmy Hoffa, he wasn't the senator. He was the chief counsel for that Senate committee, and he was authorized to be the guy examining the various witnesses, and he really tore them apart. I would think that we could, the House ought to hire Kamala Harris to come examine and cross-examine all of their witnesses instead of each one of those non-talented cross-examiners who want to be on TV doing a number, because you really do need a talented person asking the questions and executing, believe me. And a prosecutor can do that, I mean, and do it effectively if they've done the trial process, and they don't usually get the gig unless they do the trial process, except one or two cases. And they don't get the gig unless they do their, and so I'm concerned, and I express this to members of Congress and in the leadership, that you really got to make sure that all of the committees that are talking and asking the witnesses to come, they've really got to be ready and able. And if they're not, then what you ought to do is designate a chief examining officer that's not necessarily a member of Congress, and let that person go after them.
Can you imagine them voluntarily giving up their TV time now?
Well, I'd buy him an ad. Steyer bought his own ads.
Oh, for crumb's sake.
What's wrong with that? And he started the impeachment process, by the way. He really did start the business of impeach. It hasn't resonated to his candidacy yet, because I don't think the people who signed the impeachment thing realized that they were signing on for his candidacy.
Right.
And it's too bad, but he really did elevate the level. And then there were obviously some others who joined him in that regard, and he should be given credit for it. And I do want to give him credit for it.
Except he qualified for the next debate, so now there's going to be 2 nights again.
Well, but
It was so much better with just 10.
Do you think anybody's going to watch the next set of debates? I think I'd rather watch Giuliani being cross-examined. It'll be a lot more fun. A lot more fun. I can see it now. You
Put
see
that
how he
on
does his
paper.
eyes now? It's like
He's
they're not his
nuts.
eyes.
No, he's nuts. He's certifiable.
He is.
he
No question.
is.
No.
Can you imagine, though, all the psychiatrists and psychologists, how they're deeply analyzing all this with great background knowledge of the conditions? I mean, it's crazy. Giuliani looks like he's absolutely gone over, he's crazy. His eyes, and all those gestures. Did he used to do all that?
No, I was on the cover of Newsweek when they said the mayor of New York and the mayor of San Francisco were the 2 top mayors in America. And it was Giuliani and me. And this was, I don't know, 98, 99, somewhere, but at that time. And they were really fabulous. And in my interacting, when we went back to receive the award and all that kind of stuff, he seemed rational.
Yeah.
He really did. He seemed like
Well, something's
in discussion with him.
Something's
And then I had him out here. I was They had some kind of an event that they had the two of us do here at the Whitcomb Hotel, at the Westin Hotel, not the Whitcomb Hotel. I bet nobody remembers that there was a Whitcomb Hotel. There was a Whitcomb Hotel. It was on Market Street.
I don't remember that.
Market and 8th. It's between 8th and 9th on Market. And my friend Diane's first husband had his law office on the top floor. Jack Berman.
What's there
Had
now?
I don't know
Okay,
what's
Dolby, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's there, and and it was good old days. But at any rate, the Westin.
Ooh, I want that story. Cul-de-sac, go back to that.
At any rate, Giuliani showed up, and we were on program together, and he seemed like a potential presidential candidate. He was acting like a presidential candidate in those days, and he was acting like a New York Republican presidential candidate, which means he didn't have any of the nonsense. That's right. That's right. He was, because if you recall, at one time, Republican candidates were quality
Yeah, we needed them.
quality people. You know, it didn't. But Giuliani was in that category, and I really thought he actually had a future. Then I saw him about, I don't know, 2 years later when we were on Fox, and it was, I think it was something in Combs. It was
Alan
Henry
Combs. Yeah.
And we were on the show together, and I couldn't believe I was hanging with the same cat.
Yeah, I know.
Because he about then had already,
Flipped around the bed.
yeah, he had obviously been messing around with the Kool-Aid or something. I don't know what he had been doing.
Well, so that makes 2 out of 3 of them. I don't know what Barr was ever like, but Trump's definitely gone around the bend.
Yeah, and it's amazing how you can see that crowd.
Yeah.
And they are people you at one time could have a discussion with.
Maybe
we
not
don't-
Trump,
we
not
don't-
Trump.
No, but I'm talking about your friends. Your friends who have, who've hung out with Trump, are now hooked up with Trump. You cannot have a logical conversation
No,
with them.
no,
They don't come even close
no.
to being rational. You start discussing water, and they think it's gas. You know.
Well,
Well,
it's,
I think he's like a cult leader. I've been saying this for quite some time. I never heard anybody else agree with me, or people kind of nod their head, yeah, but he is like a cult leader because people will die for him now. I mean, you hear his followers, and then people that have invested themselves in him, they're so invested they can't back out.
they're like zombies.
I mean, it is really scary. It's really scary.
I'm sorry, zombie is pejorative.
Is that not good? Can't say that anymore?
Post-deceased ambulatory vagabonds.
Whatever.
Gotta be careful in this town.
We can't say zombie anymore?
Can't say zombie.
But I'm certain that Nancy has the votes to impeach if she
Yeah, she
chooses
will.
to do it.
If she chose it, she's
What's the
got it.
schedule?
Well, yeah, if she, after all the evidence is in, and if none of that evidence frees him up. But I'm also certain that the activities that he engaged in, that the whistleblower talked about, and wrote about, and filed a complaint, I don't think that is going to generate 2/3
Of the Senate.
in the other house.
But they
in the
might
Senate.
find more stuff.
But Nixon quit because John Dean and a couple of other folk
Yeah.
stepped up. We need
A John Dean.
a John Dean.
But Trump is not going to resign. You know, that he will not resign unless he's absolutely forced to.
Yeah, but
Well, it was
Susan,
it
you
was
got
the
it.
Supreme Court, wasn't it? Didn't they judge that he had to give up the tape, and then he resigned like a week later, after he had to give up the tape? I don't know if we can trust this Supreme Court.
Well,
to help us.
yeah, but it was, he had to give up the tapes. He didn't want you to see the tapes. And that was his choice not to do that. But by then, there was a massive collection of Republican senators who had said that they were prepared to fire Nixon. What we need is somebody to join. I think only Romney has said actually that he
Today,
could.
Grassley came out and said something.
You're kidding me.
No.
Did he say he would?
He said the inquiry should go on.
Today?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good sign.
But not Lindsey Graham.
Although I don't trust him either. No,
Grassley? No.
no, I don't trust Grassley. But because he presided over those Supreme Court nominations.
But he's a big whistleblower guy. So, I mean, he believes in whistleblowers. So
and how about the
that's-
fact that Trump is looking for,
Exactly.
trying to get the identity
Yeah.
of the whistleblower?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're on, in that little town that I lived in Mineola, they had what they called
A tattletale.
telephone service,
Oh.
and it was an open line.
Party line?
Everybody in town could pick it up.
Yes. Party line.
I mean, it was. I think Trump didn't realize
Do that look again.
that there was a party line, and that's what
3 minutes.
essentially that was. Because you got to know that there was more than 1 or 2 or 3 people on that call.
Including Pompeo, who claimed that he didn't have any idea
Right.
what yeah.
He
Did you see that
fumbled.
answer that he gave?
Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
blah.
oh
blah,
my
blah,
God. I think they should kick him out just because of that answer.
And then there was, what's his name, McCarthy, where that guy that said that he didn't know they had said though.
From Bakersfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all just lying.
No, you
and-
added a word there.
Yeah,
you
he
said
said
no.
you added
yeah,
a word,
yeah.
no, anyway. I mean, it's nuts. So
I
we're
think
living
it's
through, we're
pretty
living
obvious.
through an ongoing nightmare. So we gotta buoy each other up because this is not gonna get any better soon.
Well, you're right. It's not going to get any better, but believe me, I just wish Nancy and the crowd could draw as much attention in the hearing set as those dumb debates draw. If we could get the same audience to listen in America to the hearings of the various congressional committees, we may be able to build a groundswell of folk that would say to their
55%
US
believe
senator,
it should go through.
What?
55% of Americans, the latest poll, believe that the inquiry should go through. The impeachment inquiry. Impeachment proceedings. Doesn't that sound lovely? Impeachment proceedings.
Yeah, but I want to get us to get away from just impeaching. It's got to be impeach and remove, impeach and remove, impeach and remove, impeach and remove.
We have a
impeach and
mantra
remove.
now.
That's right.
We should go
Impeach and
Like
remove.
remove and replace. Repeal and replace. Remember? That was their mantra?
Yeah.
Impeach and
Okay.
remove.
That's
Yeah.
right. That is exact. Impeach and remove.
Okay,
And
so-
I've been pushing that as well. It's it's all part of the deal.
So let's-
But believe me, if you did that and discussions were on the streets, they'd get that one.
Well, let that be our mantra.
It will be for me.
Okay.
Impeach and remove.
Impeach and remove. Let's
And
hear it.
that's where we have to end our show today. We've come to the end of our hour. The Will and Willie Show is produced by Flow Communications, hosts Will Durst and Willie Brown of 2020 election cycle show number 2. Very special guest moderator, Susie Tompkins Buell. Let's hear it for her on producer announcer Paul Wells.
All the way from Bolinas.
Associate producer Leslie Kay. I want to thank Ace and You of Reality Check TV, our sponsor Che Alberry, and especially the people at KSCO and the theater right here, Shelton Theater. Give them a big hand. This is their set, sheltontheater.org, Thursday through Sunday. It's Below Sycamore returns.
Cool.
It's over.
Live studio audience.